Dark Night of the Soul. By St. John the Cross. Book 2. Chapter 1. The beginning of the treatise on the dark night of the spirit. Explains, when this night commences. 1. If His Majesty intends to lead the soul on, He does not put it in this dark night of spirit immediately, after its going out from the aridities and trials of the first purgation and night of sense. Instead, after having emerged from the state of beginners, the soul usually spends many years, exercising itself in the state of proficiency. In this new state, as one liberated from a cramped prison cell, it goes about the things of God, with much more freedom and satisfaction of spirit, and with more abundant interior delight, than it did in the beginning before entering the night of sense. Its imagination and faculties are no longer bound to discursive meditation and spiritual solicitude, as was their custom. The soul readily finds in its spirit, without the work of meditation, a very serene, loving contemplation and spiritual delight. Nonetheless, the purgation of the soul is not complete. The purgation of the principal part, that of the spirit, is lacking, and without it the sensory purgation, however strong it may have been, is incomplete because of a communication existing between the two parts of the soul, that form only one suppositum. As a result, certain needs, aridities, darkness, and conflicts are felt. These are sometimes far more intense than those of the past, and are like omens or messengers of the coming night of the spirit. But they are not lasting, as they will be in the night that is to come. For after enduring the short period or periods of time, or even days, in this night and tempest, the soul immediately returns to its customary serenity. Thus, God purges some individuals who are not destined to ascend to so lofty a degree of love as are others. He brings them into this night of contemplation and spiritual purgation at intervals, frequently causing the night to come and then the dawn, so that David's affirmation might be fulfilled. He sends His crystal, contemplation, like morsels, Psalms 147:17. These morsels of dark contemplation, though, are never as intense as is that frightful night of contemplation we are about to describe, in which God places the soul purposely, in order to bring it to divine union. 2. The delight and interior gratification that these proficient enjoy abundantly and readily, is communicated more copiously to them, than previously, and consequently overflows into the senses more than was usual, before the sensory purgation. Since the sensory part of the soul is now purer, it can, after its own mode, experience the delights of the spirit more easily. But since, after all, the sensory part of the soul is weak and incapable of vigorous spiritual communications, these proficient, because of such communications experienced in the sensitive part, suffer many infirmities, injuries, and weaknesses of stomach, and as a result fatigue of spirit. The wise man says, "The corruptible body is a load upon the soul." Consequently, the communications imparted to proficient, cannot be very strong, or very intense or very spiritual, as is required for divine union, because of the weakness and corruption of the senses that have their share in them. Thus, we have raptures and transports and the dislocation of bones, which always occur when the communications are not purely spiritual, communicated to the spirit alone, as are those of the perfect, who are already purified by the night of spirit. The perfect enjoy freedom of spirit without their senses, being clouded or transported, for in them, these raptures and bodily torments cease. 3. To point out why these proficient must enter this night of spirit, we will note some of their imperfections and some of the dangers they confront. Next video, Book 2, Chapter 2. Thanks.